Hey cakey people, today's upload is this giant smash heart filled with sweets. So before we get into this, hit subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. So first of all, we're going to start off by melting our candy melts. I use Deco melts for this one and they're raspberry flavoured. They melt down to a really nice consistency for this kind of work. We're pouring it into the mould and then just flowing it around the mould by hand, and then we're going to need a brush in a minute as well so that we can get into that tricky bit where the peak of the heart meets, but mostly just using gravity to flow it around the mould and a steady hand, hopefully. Sorry if you don't have one of those. So just grab a brush and do that little bit of the peak. You'll see me do that in a second. And then we're going to empty out any leftover back into the pot so that we don't get a thick shell. Fridge for 5 minutes or so, and then we're going to put a second layer on. You have to be really quick with this layer because the mould is now cold. I did unfortunately not quite get fast enough with this one, and I did have to use a brush to spread it around the last little bit, which you'll see in a moment. But it doesn't really matter because it's on the inside and you're not going to see that bit when it's finished anyway. So if you're more comfortable using a brush, please do so. Okay, back in the fridge for another 5 minutes, and now we're going to release it out of the mould. So I just loosen it all around the edges first, and then we're going to flip it over like so and roll it from the bottom up to the top. If you start at the top where the love heart meets, you'll crack it. Okay, and then you can see we've flowed over the edges just a little bit, but we're going to neaten that up now. This knife is hot. I've soaked it in hot water so that it just slips through that chocolate. And you need to be really careful not to put your fingers on the heart too much because you will leave fingerprints on it. So I'm being really gentle, trying not to touch it too much here. And then I'm just going to speed up the rest of that for you because, you know, you've seen it once, you've seen it 100 times, you don't need to see it all. Popped it back in the mould again just to do the edges, and you can see it's really quite firm here. And now we're filling it up with the sweets. Fill it up with whatever you want to do. I've used Haribo rhubarb and custards. I've used some gold coins. I used some mini party ring biscuits. I've also used some marshmallows in mine, some Freddos, some mini marshmallows, some lollipops, all sorts pretty much. Anything you want. You know, you can put chocolate covered strawberries in there. You could fit some cupcakes in there. All sorts. Anything you want to put in there as long as it fits. So we're just filling it up now, and then what we do is we try the board on top. Obviously this would then be the underneath when it's finished, to make sure that it all fits in correctly. So here we go. I've got a nice mirrored rose gold board, and I'm just trying it out and I can tell it doesn't quite fit, so I'm just taking a couple of bits out, rearranging, and there they all fit nicely now. So then we need to melt some more Deco melts down. Now these set very quickly. So if you are using more candy melts for this, you need to be really quick. White chocolate doesn't set quite so fast and you get a little bit more time with that. So popping it on the bottom there, and then I held this for about a minute. And then we're going to flip it. I'm just putting it onto a little Perspex board there and flipping it over. And then we need to be really gentle once we flip that over about peeling this mould back off it, because obviously some of the Deco melts that we've used to stick it to the board will have stuck slightly to the mould again, and you don't want to pull the heart up. So I'm just securing it down because I don't think they were quite dry here, and then going for it again. Like I say, they dry really quickly. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just neaten it up all around the edges, piping on some more candy melts, and then you can run a clean finger or a gloved finger or a knife just around the edges just to neaten it up, because it does tend to get a little bit raggedy and we want it to be nice and neat. Well, I like mine to be nice and neat anyway. It is an optional decision on that last little bit there. Okay, and then it's time to decorate. So I'm using some pearl luster. I love the way this just brings out all the lines on the mould and really makes them stand out. I'm using a really fluffy brush, very dry, fluffy brush. Obviously make sure it's nice and clean. You've got no other colours on there. I only ever use this brush for this colour, so that it's always definitely got no contamination or anything like that in it. So we're just brushing it all on, making sure we get it in all those crevices, all those lines. You can see how they really stand out now. Looking nice and shiny and sparkly and lovely. And that's how I like my Geo hearts to look. I do this on the small ones as well. Okay, and then we're wrapping cling film over the board because we have to put it on the board first. But obviously the decoration that we're going to do next is going to make a mess. So I've got some gold luster now. I'm just mixing it to a fairly thick consistency and splatting it on. If you pat your brush like that in the pot the first time, it stops it coming out too thickly and giving you fat blobs. I like little dainty tiny blobs, not big fat ones. It's obviously personal preference and it's up to you. But obviously that cling film doing its job brilliantly all around the edge, just to cover the board up and make sure that we don't mark it. Because luster dust, especially on these shiny boards, they'll mark it. Even if you wipe it down after, it'll still leave a mark behind where you've mixed the rejuvenator, the alcohol liquid, into the luster dust. And once we've done this, we're going to use some more deco melts to put a little design on that top left corner. So here we go, swirly swirly. You can do lines, you can do dots, whichever you prefer. And then we're using a sprinkle mix by Happy Sprinkles. And this one's called Dancing Queen. This is one of my ultimate favourites of theirs. I love the little pink macaroni rods, or whatever you might call them where you are, that you get in this one. I don't know if you can buy them on their own, but I love the way they look. They've got like a lovely pink sheen to them. And so we're just placing them all on there. Again, this is a point where you have to be really, really quick because those deco melts dry so fast. And then removing the cling film and we have a nice, lovely, clean board. And that is our heart done. You can add messages or anything you want to. So now we're just making a little bow for the hammer. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I package these up. This is in a nice white box and then we put food safe shredded paper all around it with the hammer. I think it looks really pretty and nice like this. And then we get to the fun bit. We get to smash it. So are you ready? Are you ready for this? Because I loved smashing this up. I don't normally get to play with the things that I make. They normally go out the door. And I don't get to do this. But this was really fun. I'm sure my kids would have loved to have had a go at this. But no, this one was down to me. I'm really sorry that you can see my tripod in the bottom there. I have ordered a new one. Hopefully it comes soon. But yeah, there's all the sweets inside. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. It's a little bit outside the box for what I normally do, but I definitely enjoyed doing it myself. I'd love for you to subscribe and follow me and receive all of those notifications when I upload more videos. Bye!